Welcome to another episode of Soundbites, a mini podcast by Nos Audietis and Sounder at Heart. Today is Thursday, May 9th, and I am Jeremiah Shan. On today's show, I'll be looking back at Wednesday's shootout win over Louisville City and quickly looking ahead to Sunday's game against the Portland Timbers.
Hey, this is Christian Roldan.
And Jordan Morris from the Seattle Sounders Football Club.
And you're listening to...
This is Nos Audietis.
Here we go. Come on! Hey, O'Shan! Let's go!
For anyone who was paying attention, the Sounders finally got themselves a genuine positive moment on Wednesday when they advanced past Louisville City via shootout in the U.S. Open Cup round of 32. The undeniable star of the game was goalkeeper Andrew Thomas, fresh off signing a multi-year extension that will keep him under the Sounders' control through 2029. The 25-year-old was credited with 5 saves during the 120-plus minutes to get it to the shootout, where he made 3 more saves. Most epically, he saved a penalty in the 8th round, waved off Sota Kitahara, who was preparing to take the potential clincher, and took matters into his own hands. Thomas went full power over placement and hit the ball about as hard as I've seen a penalty taken, barely giving opposing goalkeeper Danny Foundes a chance to react. Thomas, who had been chirping at the Louisville players throughout the shootout, then peeled off in celebration, pumping his fist and unleashing primal screams while his teammates chased him down. The 3 saves equaled the number of saves Sounders goalkeepers had made in their 4 previous shootouts combined, all of them losses. Thomas was also the first Sounders goalkeeper to convert his spot kick. Of course, the match should have never really gotten to that point in the first place. Despite using a lineup that had just 2 regular starters, that was Josh Intensio and Alex Roldan, the Sounders were able to grind out a 2-0 lead off goals from Paul Rothrock and Danny Musovski. Rothrock's goal came off a nice cross from Georgi Monongu, while Musovski's headed in a perfect Danny Leva free kick. At that point, the Sounders seemed to have the match pretty well under control, but a penalty in the 67th minute put the match on its head. While Alex Roldan was arguing for a handball on the attacker, the ball appeared to strike his raised arm. The referee pointed to the spot and Sean Tosh converted. Still, the Sounders seemed to have settled the game down enough to see it out, but in the 89th minute, the Sounders did a horrible job handling a throw-in that bounced around the box until Wilson Harris slotted it home. Truth be told, the Sounders were probably a little lucky to get it to penalties at that point, as Louisville had the better chances from there on out. It was not a particularly encouraging performance by the Sounders in that sense, especially when you dig into the performance of the first-teamers. Putting Thomas's performance aside, I wasn't really blown away by any of them. There were some bright spots in Cody Baker's tenacity, Danny Leva's set-piece delivery, Paul Rothrock's finishing, and John Bell's willingness to break lines. I also thought Stuart Hawkins did well to recover a few times, albeit usually from situations he had put himself in. But if we were looking for anyone to put the type of performance that demands more starts, I was left wanting. I did like what I saw from Defiance player Snyder Brunel in his 30 minutes, and he probably had the best penalty of the bunch. I also thought Kalani Kosarienzi continued to acquit himself well, if not necessarily demanding a first-team contract. Still, this is mostly about advancing, and that's exactly what the Sounders did. They'll now face USL Championship side Phoenix Rising on May 22nd at Starfire. Phoenix has historically been one of the top teams in the USL Championship, making it to the championship game in their first year, finishing atop the regular season in year 2, and then winning it last year. They're off to a bit of a slow start this year, however, going 3-4-2 and sitting 6th in the Western Conference table. They beat North Carolina Courage in the Open Cup round of 32, albeit while playing overtime up 10-9. Kind of a crazy game there. Phoenix will also be without one of their top defenders after Lawrence Wyke was red-carded. My hope is that the Sounders will bring a few more first-teamers to this one. I wouldn't necessarily blame them if they start a similar group, but they really could use more experience on the bench. It was a little frustrating to see the only options that Brian Schmetzer gave himself were, in terms of MLS experience, were Leo Chu and who was the other one? Oh, Sota Kitahara. There we go. And I mean, I would love to see maybe a Christian Roldan, heck, maybe a Jordan Morris, who I'm like kind of amazed to realize this, but Jordan Morris has never even played in an Open Cup game under Brian Schmetzer. But yeah, Christian Roldan, maybe even a João Paulo. You look at LAFC, used both of their designated players started on the road against Las Vegas Lights last night. I understand the Sounders are in a bit of a pickle right now in terms of fixture congestion, as well as available players, especially at center back, where they are down to essentially their fifth stringer. But I don't know. I do think that if they're going to talk about trying to win this thing, they need to put in a little bit more than they've put into it so far. That said, I can understand why they had to make the decisions they made for this one. Like I said, this is a stretch of very busy games for the Sounders. They're going to end up playing 10 times in about 30 days, which is, they're going to essentially play every midweek for 5 straight weeks, which is a lot to ask. I definitely get it. And this game was quite a bit about survival more than anything else. In that sense, they passed the test. But now they can turn their attention to, they're going to have actually 3 more games between this game and the Phoenix game. The first of those is against the Portland Timbers on Sunday. The Timbers, as you may or may not know, are currently mired in an 8-game winless run, going 0-5-3 and allowing 19 goals during that stretch. Unfortunately, this is also a Timbers team that has absolutely had the Sounders number as of late. The Sounders are winless in their past 6 games against the Timbers. That's the longest ever fallow streak the Sounders have ever had against their southern neighbors, and that goes all the way back to 1975 when this rivalry first started. The last time the Sounders beat the Timbers was that 6-2 win at Providence Park on August 15th, 2021. Let's hope the Sounders are due for a turnaround. Before I get out of here, though, I did want to make a bit of a pitch to all of you. Today's episode is free to everyone, but normally what I do is I record these mini episodes about once or twice a week, depending on what's going on in the world, and they're usually only available to our paid subscribers on a private RSS feed. If you enjoyed this episode of Soundbites, I'd hope that you would consider becoming a paid subscriber of Sounder at Heart. Plans are available for as little as $3 a month or $25 a year. And then at the $75 level, $75 a year level, you'll also get access to our private Discord server that has become very active in recent weeks. I don't know if you are someone who participates in the game threads on Sounder at Heart. Those usually get about 250 comments. They tend to slow down when we get high traffic. That's, something we're trying to figure out. But on Discord, we get anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 comments on a game thread, and it doesn't ever have issues loading. So if that's an experience that you really like, I would urge you to check out our Discord, become a paid subscriber of Sounder at Heart, and really just help support independent soccer media. With all that said, I'm going to get out of here. I am Jeremiah Shan. This is Soundbites, and I will catch you next time.
We love you. Let's win another one!